I'm going to take the carburetor off this little Mantis tiller, see if we can figure out what's plugging this up, clean it out, and see if we can get by without putting a diaphragm kit in here. We've got another fuel line I'll put in here as well. So let's get this carburetor off. I'm going to first disconnect this throttle line on this Mantis tiller. And this throttle linkage has like a little notch in it. If you just loosen this line up, you can just pull that pin right out. So that throttle line is already disconnected. There's also a little check valve that's under the cover. You need to pull that out. And there's a check valve, so that's freed up. I'm going to take the tank off and the carburetor off as a unit. There's two screws at the top here and there's one underneath, and that'll get the tank off. So the gas tank has dropped down, so the carburetor just will come out after you take these two screws. The whole unit will pull off, but I'll have to get this choke mechanism out as well. So let's get this loosened up. So these screws are almost out. We'll get this choke piece and this plate off. Really long screws in here, but this choke plate is off. I'm going to keep this all together. So this carburetor should just pull off now. So let's see if we can safely pull this carburetor off. There we go. And we're taking it all off with the tank as well. So there is the tank and the carburetor. I like doing it this way because you don't spill any fuel. Do that with 4-cycle engines as well. So let's now separate the carburetor from the tank. So here's our carburetor. I'm going to clean the outside of this off before I take it apart. And when I press this primer bulb, I hear no air coming out whatsoever, so definitely something plugged up in here. But I'm going to clean the outside off before I take it apart. So the carburetor is clean on the outside, so now we can take it apart and see what's on the inside. We're going to take the primer bulb off first. There's a pump side to this, as well as a metering side, so we've got to take both of these off to clean it out. So the primer bulb is off. Still feels like it still can be usable. Now let's take this part off here. I'm going to be careful taking this off because I may want to reuse all this. This seems to be the area that's plugged up. So here's the inside of the carburetor where your needle is at. So we're going to take this out and clean all this. So this screw holds the whole needle and seat in here, or needle. I'll take this out. It's got a little spring, very tricky putting all this stuff back together, but I got to take this out to at least clean in there. So let me get this needle out. So there it is. There's the needle, very tiny parts. We'll clean all this out in here and then reassemble this, and then we're going to go on the other side and clean that out. Got everything clean here. We're going to reassemble this and cleaned all these holes out as well. Couldn't find anything, but hopefully something was in there that clogged this up. So the tricky part is getting the needle back in as well as the spring in here, and then get this screw tightened down where all that's at. So I got that back in there. Now we're going to reassemble this diaphragm back on the top there and get the primer bulb back on. So that's reassembled. Now let's take the bottom part off and clean that. So we're attempting to do this without any diaphragm replacement. Alright, we're going to take this off very carefully. And that's what that looks like. So we're going to clean this out and go through all these holes as well. And I did find a little bit of trash in here as I was cleaning it out, so let's go back and reassemble this now. So we've been robbing some parts off a different carburetor here. This piece right here, I never could get any air to blow through it. So what I did is I took that same piece off, which is a little bit different, and put on this carburetor, and I also put the diaphragm that was on this carburetor. This is the one I did from the Mantis, and we ended up putting a new carburetor on there. But now I can blow air through here, and of course I got a better primer bulb as well. So I think we can at least pump some fuel in here and get it started. Let me connect this to the tank and see if we can prime it. Well, we now have fuel in the primer bulb, so that new piece here, a new used piece from another carburetor and the other diaphragm, seems to be working. So I'm going to reassemble this, kind of a no-cost fix if this works. So the carburetor and fuel tank is back on, and we just need to reconnect the throttle line here. We're going to get the throttle linkage back in, just a matter of getting this line linkage right back in there. There we go. So this Mantis, we're ready to give it a start.